Hey, today we're going to talk about WTF, working the flat roof. So if you have a flat roof, know somebody that does, or just want to get into doing proper maintenance, repairs, this is the video for you. So I get a call from my nephew. Oh, and by the way, this original video was over an hour and a half long. So if you want to see that version, let me know that you want to see that if you want to get super high tech about any of these products and things that I mentioned. But if you're happy that I'm going to keep this short, make sure you hit like down below, right? So my nephew gets this estimate. He says he just bought a house. The realtor says, oh, but there's a problem. It has a leak. No problem. It's just a couple grand. So he sends this over to me. And all these flat roofs are basically the same. When I show up and talk to people, they say, don't you need to go up? I tell them, nope. I already know where your leak is. 9 times out of 10, I'm right. I've already walked the property. I can tell exactly what's going on. And that's when they tell me, hey, I don't like you roofers. I've had you guys going up there every couple of years, and I still have the leak, and I can't get it fixed. Well, that reminds me of Avril from Roxborough. She's a much older lady. She was up there. And she used to tell me that when she was a little girl, the kids would go, when the roofers would bring out the tar or the asphalt to heat it up before they take it on the roof, they'd beg for little pieces of it, and they'd chew it like chewing gum. So it was a different time back then. But sweet lady, she had lived in her house her entire life, so she could basically tell me what was going on for the past 20, 30 years. And she wanted to leave the house to her kids, but she didn't want to leave the house with all the problems. She'd already redone the drywall up in the upstairs bedrooms a couple times, and she was just done. She had it, but she loved her home. She didn't want to leave. Well, these homes are all the same. You can find them anywhere. Around here, you think of Philadelphia, Westchester. You're going to find them in Reading, Norristown, Collegeville, but you're going to find them all the way from New Jersey, anywhere from Chester County, all the way to Allentown and Bethlehem, and anywhere in between. Doylestown, Downingtown. They're all over the place. You'll even find them Exton, going out that way towards Lancaster. So very familiar with these roofs. I've been on hundreds of them. I don't go up the ladder anymore. I'm no longer the athlete that I was. However, I've seen everything, and taking a look at this estimate, it says, first thing, maintenance. Apply roof cement and fabric along perimeter and penetrations of the roof. Okay. Well, let's go over some of these components. Right here you have a metal flashing that's embedded into the brick where your material goes under it, and then you have your brick wall here, and it's a piece of metal that goes over it. Perfect solution, right? Usually made of copper when these homes were built in the early 1900s, right? And so they want to go along with roof cement, and anywhere where there's cracks and leaks, they want to seal the front chimney crown with roof cement and fabric, and then wrap the back of the chimney with a torch down rubber, and then spray everything with a silver coat, and then clean everything up. Well, they're calling that maintenance. To me, maintenance is putting enough oil in your car so that you don't blow your engine, right? You don't put oil in the engine that's already blown. Doing maintenance when something's already broken is not maintenance. So let's dive into that repair. And for that repair, they're looking for $1,200. And this looks like a good, reputable company. Got a letterhead, someone to talk to, lots of contact information. I haven't checked them out yet. All right, so back in the day, when these homes were built, they still had lots of trees. So these great big beams. Your flat roof is actually on a slight pitch. So it's a little higher here than it is here. So all the water comes in, goes down, and it goes down what's called a scupper cup. Scupper cup connects your downspout and right on down. So back in the day, when Avril was talking about the guy showing up with the asphalt, they take these big chunks, they throw them, they heat them up, carry them up in buckets. Stinks the whole neighborhood up. Some people like it, said they clear their head, whatever. But they get up there with it and they mop it, mop it, mop it, mop it. And it lasted a very, very long time. However, eventually, That dried out. So what did they do? They added another layer to it. Mop it, mop it, mop it, mop it. Problem is now you're getting into multiple layers. And with the sun shining on it, and then it getting cool at night, holds in that heat. You've already got your dried out layer underneath it. Then you've got another layer on top of it. It didn't last as long. What else you gonna do? So, mop it, mop it, mop it, mop it. Now you're starting to get up in years. All right, and I'm 50 now. I've seen mopping go on probably within the last 20 years. Okay, so you can keep on adding those layers, but then you got a problem. 9 times out of 10, it's not in the center of your roof. That's a problem. As time went on, your problems all happen at the same places. 9 times out of 10, it's your scupper cup. So when I tell Avril or anybody else, hey, you got a leak in your upstairs back bedroom, don't you? I already walked down the alley, took a look at it. I could see the original scupper cup, and I know that there's definitely a leak there, whether we see it or not. The other place is your masonry. It goes all the way around. Over the years, this masonry, it's become brittle. Bricks are getting loose. Water saturates into it, and then it freezes, and it breaks apart. Now you have wicking going in, and this is the wall between you and your neighbor's house. And then, so this is your flat roof. So the rain comes down, it wicks into it, and it starts to saturate down. And now, not only is it rotting the wood, it is also ruining your plaster. Right? That plaster falls down, somebody would get killed. A lot of times you look up there and you can say, hey, it's right there. It's on the outside wall of your home. And it's wicking down and the plaster goes right to it. So paint stops to stick and you start seeing these rings, white, mossy stuff. And the paint doesn't stick to it. It's just always going to be wet. And so we got a couple different options. Oh, and then the scupper cup. My goodness. You keep throwing tar into that. It used to be a nice big drain, nice big funnel. Well, over the years, it's gotten smaller and smaller and smaller every time you put a layer on it, hasn't it? So they needed to come up with a solution to solve this. And so they wanted to eliminate weight, but they also wanted something that was an easier solution than ripping off everything, right? So they had this material. It's a rollout roof. Never meant to really go on the roof. Maybe a light pitch, maybe your doghouse. I wouldn't even use it there. And it's fiberglass reinforced, and they could muck it down, add another layer. But what haven't they solved? They haven't solved where all the problems are, right? They've just thrown down another layer. This is going to solve your problem. A couple years later, you're coming back. You think you just got a new roof. This material, even though it's flexible and can bend up those parapet walls, it's also gets brittle very easily and it tears in half, no problemo. So at the same time, folks were using that, commercial properties were using something a little stronger. Torch down rubber roof, right? Good stuff. And how this is applied is comes in a roll and they roll it out like a carpet and they heat it up on top with a big torch. And as they roll it, it seals to the next layer and seals itself, makes a giant membrane, and you think you're in good shape. Well, on a commercial property, say you've got a giant building like a school or something like that, you don't have all these problems along the way, right? You might have some venting, you've got your downspouts. However, you don't have masonry problems that you're rolling up and on. It's one big roof. So just like anything, I mean, this was expensive stuff. So homeowners weren't using it. Roofers didn't, generally want to charge people for it. But just like any technology, the price goes down. So they would put this down on an underlayment, torch it down, and it can expand and contract because it's on an underlayment. They don't stick it right to the roof. When they did that, they could get a 40-year warranty out of this very same material. Right? This is modified bitumen. You can either get it with or without. It's up to you. So on a residential home, same product, expensive, best stuff. Oh, I can't wait to get this on my roof. I'm not going to have any more problems. Well, they'll only give you a 10-year warranty. And let's go into why. So our first choice is to repair everything, use some materials, use some of this, torch it down to the loose brick, and see if we could fix it that way in some of the bad spots. So what guys would do is they'd go up there and they would torch this down right over everything. Now you've added another layer. Boop. No more mopping. And they'd roll it, seal itself. They could bring it right up the wall. To solve this masonry problem, they put it and they'd go up and over. And here's the problem. Here's where you don't get any life out of this. Even though you've rolled this up and over your masonry and eliminated using any of those flashings, if you take this material and you torch it directly underneath it without an underlayment, now all you've done is added another layer to this that's just going to pull apart and tear apart, because now we have all that thick tar heating up and it's going to shrink, and all these seams are going to pull apart as soon as the weather starts going from hot to cold. So the other big problem is this. You put your torch down into an old scupper cup that's under how many layers? You'd have to do a core sample to find out at this point. Your scupper cup has gotten a lot smaller, and just like a pizza, pizza dough is sticky as all get out. So is this rubberized roof. But you put a little flour, it doesn't stick. Well, 100-year-old dried out tar is not going to stick to anything either. And you can't reach this to clean it because it's underneath all those other layers. So what do they say in here? Next, clean and reseal existing scupper cup box with torch down rubber. So we already know that's not going to solve the problem. Right. Let's see what's next. Torch down GAF smooth rubber over existing roofing material. Not to an underlayment, not leveling up the surface, because with all this weight and everything that's been happening there over the years, guess what? That leaking there has caused this to dip, and now you're pooling. Got a big puddle there. Not only is it sitting there and saturating down your wall and messing up everything here, it's also rotting out the wood underneath it. So adding another layer there isn't going to help. And I'll show a picture of what happens when you just do a go over in an area that's pooling. So they're calling this a new roof. Seal front chimney crown with roofing cement. Okay. Wrap back chimney with torch down rubber. Clean and haul away the debris. All right, so they're calling this a new roof, but really it's a go over, right? And what do they want for that? Well, that's even a really good price too. So roofers, they don't need a lot of material. They don't generally need to get a dumpster. They only need a couple guys. They could do a go over in a couple hours, torch it, stick it on. They don't have to worry about fire. In and out, boom, boom, boom. They get an off-the-box manufacturer warranty of 10 years. Now, whether or not they've even been around 2 or 3, that's usually the big question, right? These guys going out of business because when they get callbacks at the mason area and when this stuff pulls apart at the scupper cup, well, basically, they've gone over this whole thing. I looked at my nephew's roof from satellite from recently and a couple years ago and saw that they had recently added a silver coat. Silver coat you got to put on this material every 3 years. That's maintenance. So if they put new stuff all over it and spray coated what's already been done and it's still leaking, what is preventative maintenance, or calling it the maintenance, doing for you if it's only going to last you a season because this one's already failing and it was just done? Everything they just said. So what's your next option? Well, tear it all off. All of it. Get down to the wood. Repair the plywood. Now, originally this had big planks, but if we don't solve that problem there, we know we're going to end up having problems, without a doubt, right? So, what other issues? Well, if you've got bad masonry, you can go ahead and fix it with roofing material, but roofing material is not meant to fix masonry. Okay, so that's a separate issue. My suggestion would be once you tear this all off and you've exposed this existing flashing, if it's still in good shape, a lot of times it's copper, you can just pull it out, get underneath it. Here's your brick. It's a counter flashing. Roll it out, fold it back down. Now you've got a nice sealed area. Right? Instead of going up and over, because another reason why they won't give you the warranty is if your roofing material is connected to your neighbors, if they go and do their roof, well, they've just interrupted yours now, haven't they? And the manufacturers are smarter than to give warranties on things that have factors that are out of their control. So my suggestion would be to utilize this counter flashing here, come up and under, cap it. Most roofers don't carry around the big bending machines. They're called brakes. They don't carry around the machines to do that, but that's more of a permanent solution, is to cap that with metal, then come back and take care of any of the masonry that's giving you any issues later. You could even, well, I don't want to get into it. All right, so if we tear it all off, we're going to replace that scupper cup. We're going to replace the flashing and the drip edge. Drip edge is a material that you can stick everything to, and it's metal. Now, nine times out of 10, I can go up to a house, and I see this material, and I see the multiple layers of it. So from the street, I can see that they've done their work, but then underneath it, I can keep seeing more of it. So I can count how many layers of that roof have gone on that. Avril, she had it done 3 or 4 times within about a 10-year period. Never solved her problem. If I had met her 20 years ago when I went to visit her, nowadays, she'd still be saying, hey, my roof looks great. We're not having any problems. When I called, she followed the scheduled maintenance on it so that there weren't problems going down the line. So what does that take? All right. So we're still looking at the rubber roof torch down. You do have some other options. EPDM, it's like a giant vinyl material. But if you're doing that, because of the expense of it, you're going to want to redo all your masonry, probably want to redo all the flashings at the same time. Or else you're just, putting another layer of something else over it and not addressing the problems. You also have fiberglass. Fiberglass is like triple the price of everything else. You only need that if you're putting like a giant HVAC unit up there, something really durable, or you're building a deck up on your flat roof. If you want to learn more about EPDM, ask me the differences with the different products. So now we're talking about doing a torch down on an underlayment. We've solved the problems with the flashings. We're replacing all the metalwork, doing a new scupper cup, and we've stopped the pooling. So a go over $3,200. I'd say if you're dealing with somebody who isn't just a roving guy, you could probably spend a little bit more if they've been around, like say 10 years, because they know they're not going to want to come back. Most roofers know they're coming back. They shy away from these flat roofs, especially if they're doing this, because they know they're coming back. And they're saying that they're offering a warranty. They've been around for 10 years. But in reality, if they know they're coming back, So I'd say you could probably spend a little bit more. So to tear it all off and do a new roof, address all the issues, and basically make it a 40-year roof, because we're not just putting it over in all the places that are going to go bad. They still only get a 10-year warranty from the manufacturer. However, you've got a nicer surface, and if you maintain it, you can get it to stretch out much, much further. All right, so tear off everything else. Double, easy. 8, 9. If we're addressing more metal work there, I'd say 10K all day. This is a 10 square roof. All right, and that's average. So we're at around 10K to get the dumpster, get the permits, get everything done right. Get a crew up there to get everything ripped off, get it off the roof, get it into the dumpster, get everything taken away, and at the same time, prep and prepare everything. Can it be done in a day? Yeah, but if done properly, or depending on the size crew, coming back the next day to just touch up the metal work or do some of the flashings once everything's sealed up, you'd be in good shape. If you need a new skylight, This is 80, 90 years old. Want to redo the skylight because yours is the original. You can get one put in for about $1,200, right? So I would suggest doing that if it's dysfunctional or it's the original. The galvanized steel that they use to make those, galvanized steel does start to rust over time, and it is difficult to get new material to stick to it. So get that done. Then, if you want to address the masonry issues, hire a different crew. If you got a guy that's an expert roofer, been doing this a long time, he's a super athlete, he's good at what he does, and he knows his roofing, then he's going to be on a roof the next day. He's not going to be coming back to do masonry work. So find a good mason, somebody that's going to do it right, and document it. Because remember, Avril's not going to be climbing up there on that roof, see what they're doing, and most likely you aren't either. So once we do this, we have our warranty, but this is what it really means. You got a 10-year warranty on this product. If it happened to fail, they would come and drop off a bunch of rolls of stuff in front of your house. That doesn't help me. Doesn't help Avril. It doesn't help anybody, right? So make sure you're dealing with a reputable company that if your product does fail and they are backing it up, they will back it up with labor as well. So suppose you don't have the, let's say we're at 11.5, right? And you say, but Jason, I can't see myself spending that much. Everybody, I see everybody only spending the 4K. Well, everybody's upset at their roofer and they do it over and over again. If you want to save yourself a whole bunch of time and the investment in your property to get the best return, you can do an annual repair. Now, that's not maintenance. Maintenance is coming back and putting a spray coat over all this every 3 years. So when you get the call or it's 3 years, do it. Right? So you'll be doing that every year. Roofers don't make any money doing that, so they're all going to suggest this. That solution doesn't solve any of your problems. The warranty doesn't mean anything because the people installing it aren't going to honor it, can't get it, and they're in and out. That's their bread and butter right here. This is where good roofing companies, they say, we're going to offer a warranty and we don't want to come back. That's what they're going to offer. A good roofing company is going to offer that only because they want to stay in business for a long time. They also want your neighbors to know she doesn't have any problems with her roof. Right? That's good for us. That's good for the homeowner. It's good for the reputation of everybody around. If you were only expecting to spend the 4 or 5, but you want the bells and whistles, you want to not worry about this any longer, check out our other videos. Good reputable companies are starting to learn how to use budget plans. If you're a financially stable company like ours, we can find out what you need. Our goal is to get the roof on your house. If you need a budget plan, talk to us. We'll figure it out, right? So I think we've covered just about everything. Roofers, they have a bad rap, especially when it comes to this stuff. And the reason is, and it's not anybody's fault. People are, I'm not saying roofers that do go-overs are doing bad work. They're just not knowledgeable, and they're just not helping themselves, the industry, or the homeowner by doing things improperly. So if these issues were all addressed down the line, we wouldn't be readdressing them over and over again. And if you know that all those issues were addressed and it's been 20, 30 years and you're considering doing a go-over, or by then you'll have nice rubberized stuff that we can put over it because you'll be following your maintenance, you'll get a lot more life out of your roof. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, gosh, this sounds a whole lot more reasonable to just do this. I've, bought things in the past and found that it was much more expensive than just buying the better thing in the beginning. A lesson I've learned from my wife. So I've written down some numbers here and sort of come up with a real plan so you can see the real hidden costs and where you're actually saving money. So our repairs, we're going to do a 10-year plan here. Our repairs were $1,200. We had to do them every year, and we will because those seams are going to open up every year. Takes us to $12K. We're still going to have to do maintenance with the spray down. That $1,200, another $3,600 takes us to under $16K. We know that materials don't go down in price over time, do they? No. So we're going to figure that doing this over the 10-year period with inflation and everything, 18 to 20K. Okay. Wow. That's still a whole lot, but it's not a big chunk that you have to put out now. But keep in mind, that's addressing no issues and actually is causing more damage. Because by just doing the repair, we have not addressed the brick damage, the mortar, which is just going to be getting worse. We haven't stopped the wicking, which means that our drywall and or our plaster is still going to be getting messed up, which is also going to mean we're going to be doing a lot of repainting, possibly doing insulation. And it also means that we have mold present. So one of the most expensive things about this is the rot. The rot's going to keep on getting worse, and that's going to be a significantly more expensive repair to make later, because eventually you are going to tear this off, one way or the other. Mold is huge. I always say it wrong, but I always call it aspergillus. But when you've been exposed to mold over and over again, it causes respiratory illnesses. As your body tries to attack it, it doesn't recognize it, and you get ill. So if you're experiencing any of these problems from having the leaky roof or damage on the walls, know that it usually took about 2 years to get there, and there's more mold in there than you'll actually ever even know. It can cause fatigue, and cause headache, and a myriad of all kinds of problems. Respiratory illnesses in children as well. So our next option was the go-over. We were quoted around $3,200. That I found to be suspect on that, because I have a feeling that as soon as they go up there, they're going to find other reasons to tack on more stuff. I don't know that, but that's my suspicion. I know at around $4K, you're dealing with what reputable companies would be doing to do a decent go-over. So let's look at the go-over. Very similar to the repair in a lot of ways. All right, so let's see. Go-over, we were around $4K. Let's say we're doing that every 3 years. That takes us to $12K. Very similar numbers to the repair. Plus, we're still going to have to go over it again, right? We're still going to have to do our 3-year maintenance. It takes us down to about $15,600. Again, doing the go-over. We have not addressed the brick. We haven't addressed the mortar. We haven't addressed the drywall. We haven't addressed the rot, the plasterwork, the repainting, the insulation, the illnesses, and we have no peace of mind at this point. So let's do the tear off. All right, so we suspected we were around 10 grand over 10 years. We're still going to need to do the maintenance, 13.6. However, we addressed the masonry. I'm bumping up another 5K on there. That's a worst case scenario for addressing that masonry. It could be anywhere from a couple grand, but I wouldn't want to tell you that for $1,500, $2,000, you go up there and get that done. That really needs to be documented well by somebody you trust, and then have them document it so that you can see exactly what they did. So in worst case scenario, we're talking about 15K plus the maintenance, 18K. So just a few $1,000s more solved all the problems that we have. We've got an excellent warranty. We no longer worry about the brick, the rotted drywall, the rotted wood that's just going to keep on getting more and more expensive as it gets worse. We don't deal with the plaster. We're not repainting. Everything looks nice. Insulation's not causing the mold, and we have peace of mind knowing that we're not going to have to worry about these problems. And this brings up something, and if anybody, if you know the answer, just shout it out. What is the most expensive project you could do around your home? Shout it out. Yep, that's a good one. Yep, the kitchen, the bathroom, foundation work. All right. All great answers. The answer is, it's the one you have to do twice. Things get more expensive over time. So a lot of this is on the conservative side. So let's say that we just decide to do our go-over right now. Okay? And in 5 years, we're experiencing all these problems, and we say, all right, well, listen, we got to bite the bullet. Well, now, we did the go-over. It's been 5 years. Let's say $7,500 plus, because this is what you spent. You've already done this twice. You've done go over twice. Now you're around $3,500 plus. Now you're doing it right, and it costs more because, right, everything gets more expensive. Labor and materials get more expensive down the line. So now, if you don't address all these issues for 18 now, and you wait just 5 years, over $27,000. Yeah. And that's why when I talk to Avril or somebody said, oh, well, it's just a few $1,000s last year, a few $1,000s. Well, the longer you wait on these projects, and keep in mind this too, one of the major reasons that homes go into foreclosure is because their homes weren't properly maintained, right? So it does happen. I just wanted to throw this out there. I know that throws a little bit of sticker shock, but I also hope that it puts things into perspective when you're weighing out your choices for your next step with your roof. Again, if you appreciate that I didn't give you the hour-and-a-half version, I love the collective consciousness that we can have here online. I want to interact with you. If you're not in the Collegeville area or in southeastern PA or up by Allentown or anything like that, and you're in Chicago or something, say, Jason, I want to go over my situation with you. Reach out. Find us through Home Again Roofing or Home Again Remodeling. You can track us down. Post your questions down at the bottom if you want to get involved with the forum. And I hope you've found all of this useful. I know I've enjoyed putting it together, and I look forward to seeing you real soon.